told you to quiet down, but now you wear a crown. Visionary queen with a spark.
Welcome to You Matter in Business with Ariel Faith, your brand, your story, and your success, because you matter in your business. Welcome to You Matter in Business. This week, we're introducing Melinda Jackson. She brings almost 2 decades of international PR experience with a unique and untraditional approach to public relations and branding. Having worked on Grammys, Emmys, and PRSA awards winning campaigns, she's founded MJRP to help entrepreneurs tell their stories in unconventional ways. Melinda specializes in working with small business owners who need press coverage but don't have agency budgets, helping them navigate PR authentically without the send a press release and hope it works approach. Now, we had a little technical difficulty while we were recording this, so we're going to jump right in with Melinda. She's begun to talk about what are an easy way or easy tips that business owners can do to help them get press traction if they don't have the budget for PR. We jumped right in, so here you go, Melinda.
Those local outlets and reach out to them and let them know what you're doing. And it doesn't have to be this crazy email that you send them that's 10 pages long and 15 press releases. All you have to give them is the who, what, when, where, why. Hi, I'm Melinda. I own a restaurant locally. This is what we do. Here's a little bit about my story. We would love to work with you if you're looking to cover any local businesses, or hey, we have an event coming up. Would love for you to come out and cover. It's as simple as that. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. They're busy. You're busy. You can send them a very quick, kind, polite, short email that has all that information in it, and then they'll say yes or no. But if you start small and you start local, you're going to see that traction.
Yeah, that's good advice, especially in the starting local. It also feels less scary.
Yeah.
As I talked to about the emotions of a lot of women that, we get these blocks in ourselves, and even PR kind of is scary for a lot of us. Like the idea
of behind the lens, crafting tales and news.
Bring your marketing, your brand to life with storytelling and strategy. Cut through the noise with clear messaging and compelling visuals that resonate with your ideal client. We bring strategy, story, and visuals to help you with your marketing. Visit arieljoyfaith.com and schedule a consultation and see how we can help you bring your brand to life.
Selfies here, just genuine sight. Authenticity in every light.
And then there's a lot of, I don't know if they're scams, but like there's a company here that in Orlando that will put out an article about you, and then they want you to recommend 10 other people or whatever.
People. Yep. We have that here. That's very universal. That's kind of their thing. I think they make the money off people buying the print version of it.
Yeah. That is what I think too.
Yeah. It's a little less scammy, but it is annoying. It's like a big, long pyramid scheme. But hey, I mean, I fill it out for my clients every time it comes around. I fill it out for myself. Why not get that SEO going? So that's fine. Just don't pay for it. Don't buy into it. And one thing I always tell people, as you were saying, a lot of us are afraid to tell our stories. If it's intimidating to you, make up an email address and make up an identity and say that you're your own assistant. I was consulting someone one time and they literally made up an email address to pitch themselves, and they got a lot of traction, and they used the name Jenna Lyons. And I'm like, Jenna Lyons used to be the creative director at J. Crew. Like, she's famous. You can't use that name. And they're like, it worked. Who cares? So make up a name, Rebecca at blah, 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 who cares? They're not going to know the difference, and they never have to meet Rebecca that you made up as your alter ego. So do that, hide behind it. It's okay. It's not a big deal if you're afraid to pitch
Have
yourself.
your virtual assistant write it so that they can send it. So then it's not you writing it. That's another good idea. If you don't want to make somebody up, you can always just use somebody, right?
Yeah.
Even if you write it and say, here, can you send this?
Yeah. And in that same note, like, don't be afraid to ask your friends and family. Like, if they know someone that works at the local newspaper, say, hey, do you mind connecting me with her? I would love to try to talk to her and see if I can get some coverage going. A- Additional to that, reach out to local influencers if that's something that is relevant to you, and just say, hey, I would love to try to partner with you on something. A lot of times they will try to charge, and that's okay. Everybody has to make their living, but if it's not in your budget, be open and honest with them and say, hey, I can give you a commission or whatever. Let's figure out a way. Could we do a giveaway? Can we cross promote in some way? That will also help a lot.
Okay. So you mentioned in your bio information that you take an untraditional approach to public relations. So how can heart-centered or client-centric entrepreneurs get media attention without compromising their values or feeling pushy? So how does your traditional approach or non-traditional approach connect with that question?
Yeah. So honestly, I feel like my approach now is getting more traditional than untraditional, because the PR landscape is changing so much. So by traditional, I really mean, sending that press release and hoping that it works, and checking those boxes. What I do is very organic. It depends on the journalist that I'm reaching out to as to how I pitch them and what I pitch them, or the day, or what's kind of going on in the media at that time. But I think the best thing you can do is to really just try to stay as true and authentic to yourself and your message as possible. I come from the world of celebrity PR where we always had to make up stuff, and it felt very icky to me and I hated it. And so now I really love that I get to tell a lot of female founder stories, and get vulnerable if they want to, and let them be a resource to other people. So if it feels icky to you, you don't have to do it. But it is okay to be vulnerable. You will see a lot of success if you are authentic. People will connect with you first before they'll connect with your brand. And that's what you want. You want them to buy into you, so then they buy into your brand.
Yeah. And I appreciate that, because I spend a lot of time talking about authenticity and being visible and what that means, and not oversharing versus hiding and all those kind of things. So I appreciated your input there. When you have women that are transitioning, they may be in their older, maybe they're, we transition a lot in life as a woman. You get married, you transition, you have children, you have transitions. They go to school, there's another one, then they go to college, there's another one, then they move out for good, and get married and have their own kids. So we keep like going through these different phases that really do affect us emotionally, because they are a transition. And when we're in this transition and we might be starting a new venture, how can we leverage their life experience and expertise to become newsworthy in their field? So they may not have a master's degree, but they have 40 years of experience, right? They may not have the credentials that the average person is going to look for, but yet they have the experience that really succeeds the 4 years of college or 6 years or whatever, because it's real life experience and it's real life problem solving. How does that work with PR? I'm just curious, because I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's really just all a part of your story. And that's the stuff that people want to know. They want to see that you actually have that real world experience, that you have lived life, that you are a normal person. Those are the stories that connect with people. So I think, if you're like, hey, look, I didn't go to college, but I'm a military veteran and I'm a mom of 3, and I just saw this need to do this thing and I did it, that's going to land a lot more than somebody that, went to 4-year college and then maybe got an MBA and then worked at Bank of America and then worked their way up the corporate ladder. People want that real life experience. Not there's anything wrong with the other way, but they both have unique qualities and they both are a story at the end of the day. So your story doesn't have to be the exact same as somebody else's. If anything, you want it to be a little different. Like for me, even when I'm doing my own pitching or trying to land a client, I am like, look, my background is entertainment. I spent 7 years in entertainment in Los Angeles and I got really, really burned out. And I moved back to North Carolina and started working at an agency and realized that big agency life was detrimental to clients because they were getting lost. And that really hurt my heart. And morally and ethically, I couldn't do that anymore. So I started my own company so I could work one-on-one with people.
See how I already want to work with you.
And there's the through line there. And it's my personal story. And it's like, look, yes, my background is entertainment, but at the end of the day, I can do anything. PR is a transferable skill. And now that I'm focusing on thought leadership for clients, it really transfers because entertainment, you're selling a person. Thought leadership, you're selling a person.
And you're selling a much more authentic person rather than the actor or the performer.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, so what do you think is one of the biggest mistakes that you see small business owners make when they're trying to handle their own PR, and how can we avoid it?
Not understanding what your brand actually is and your messaging. So I was just speaking at a conference this weekend, and that's the number one thing I said, that business owners think that their audience is everyone. Your audience is not everyone. There's no brand on this planet whose audience is literally everyone. You can always distill it down to figure out who it actually is. So if you figure out who you're trying to talk to and your audience and distill it down as small as you can and figure out, okay, what's going to resonate with them? That's going to help. And then you have that through line and everything needs to check back to that. And it needs to be consistent. So you need that consistency because you're going to confuse the audience. Once they're there, you don't want to confuse them. You want to keep them. So everything has to be consistent. Everything has to make sense. You don't want to confuse them, but you have to actually know who you're talking to.
100%. Yeah. I do brand strategy, so I completely understand that.
I'm sure you've seen a lot of crap.
Yeah. And in fact, I help people with alignment because a lot of times they'll have images that don't match words. And because they liked the picture or it made them feel, they don't understand that this is sending a message and they need to be aligned with whatever your message is. And if you don't take the time to really look at that, you kind of are just shooting. You are just, what is it you said earlier?
Spray and pray.
Spray and pray. That's what you're doing. You're shooting stuff out there, you're trying this method and that method and whatever. And you're guessing. It's like a series of guesses rather than strategic implementation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how can entrepreneurs identify what makes their story truly compelling to journalists and media outlets? Now, that is a good question because all of us want to know that because, we all have a story. There's a backstory. There's a brand story. There's the company story, if you want to call it that, if you're a company. So there's a bunch of different stories that we can tell, but what makes something intriguing for the average media outlet?
Yeah. So you want to go in and find those pieces that make you unique. There's a million other women just like me who have been in PR and escaped big agency life and are kind of doing it on their own now. But I have to figure out, okay, what makes me a little bit different? I'm from Eastern North Carolina. My parents are entrepreneurs. I moved to LA with $500 and no job. I made it work. That's kind of my elevator pitch that I always tell people. But that's what makes me unique from people that I even maybe went to college with that did the exact same thing that I did. So you just have to sit there and think, okay, what do I feel really comfortable speaking about that is not going to be embarrassing to me or my family, that I can still be a little vulnerable, that makes me unique and stand out? Then you also want to see, okay, what stories are people actually telling? What's resonating with people? What's resonating with you? And then, if a story resonates with you, it might resonate with someone else. So figure out, okay, yes, these are my unique qualities, but are people talking about them right now? And does it actually make sense? Like, I was a competitive cheerleader. I cheered in college. So I kind of spin that and say, now I am a cheerleader for people's brands. I'm sure there's a bunch of other random things in my life that I could just throw in there that are not relevant whatsoever. So I leave them out.
You're very wise.
People don't need to know everything. You don't need to trauma dump.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I personally try to really teach because I've seen so many overshares that were just almost embarrassing to the person because it's like you don't overshare when you're in the pain. I mean, that to me is like the primary rule. that I think everybody has to get in, that's not being off. It is authentic, but it's not going to help your business.
Yeah, that's
right?
therapy at that point. That's just
Yes.
therapy.
Yeah. And that, if that's what you're doing and it's your personal account, that's your business. But if you're doing that on your business account, you're now calling into question rather than sharing after you've overcome that problem, which is a very
Exactly.
different perspective. Okay, well, that was an incredibly cool conversation. I got some great tidbits, so I'm looking forward to implementing them. But I wanted to talk to you again next week about some of the things you also talked about, which was some of the mental health and sustainable success, because that impacted you in your business and you like to help other people with that too. So I want to talk about that because that will help my audience also. So we will come back with Melinda Jackson next week. Thank you for being here, and I will see you again. See you next episode. After all, it is your brand, your story, and your success, because I know that you matter in business. Thank you for listening to You Matter in Business podcast. Please follow, share, like, and comment. I would love to hear from you. This podcast is sponsored by Ariel Faith Storytelling Marketing and Your Brand Photographer. The show notes provide more information on how to contact Ariel and more information about this episode. Thank you again.
They told you to quiet down, but now you wear a crown. Visionary queen with a spark, lighting up the dark. Rediscover your own fire, chase the dreams that lift you higher. Redefine your role today, brand new in every way. Build your confidence through my lens, break the walls you put up since. Embrace your power, hear your roar. You are meant for so much more. You are meant for so much more.